4629, Senator Hemmingsen-Jaeger. Welcome.
My testifier, is she here?
Yeah. You may proceed whenever
Okay.
you may begin your testimony.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm Amanda Hemmingsen-Jaeger, so newbie on the block, but pleasure to present this to you and have your attention. So every 2 seconds, someone in the United States needs blood or platelets. It can be from anything from trauma to surgery to cancer treatment. Your standard blood donation of 1 pint often can save more than 1 life. According to the American Red Cross, blood supply has decreased by over 1/3 just this year alone. And like I mentioned, it's critical for an array of medical needs. And that brings me to my bill. This bill is fairly straightforward in that it strikes the last sentence on lines 1.14 to 1.15. And by removing this sentence, it would ensure that employees at the Minnesota state system are no longer considered exempt from blood donation leave statute. Right now, the state of Minnesota employees are afforded 3 hours per year of blood donation where they don't have to use their vacation or sick time. We just want to make sure that the employees in the Minnesota state system have that same opportunity. Changing this statute would not allow only greater parity between state employee benefits, but will better reflect the changes in workforce and the practical ability to participate in such an important societal need. So with that, I can turn it over to my testifier.
Thank you so much, Senator. We first have Kay Pedretti, who is on Zoom. No. Okay. Oh.
There we go.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record, and you may begin.
Good afternoon. Kay Pedretti. I work at Winona State. Go ahead. All right. I do work at Winona State. My actual job title is College Lab Specialist. Ironically, I work with blood, urine, parasites, cadavers, all the good stuff every day. I know some of you are smiling like, oh, God, don't talk about that. I just say at lunch. But I do work with all of those fun things. I make sure our labs are ready to go and that our students have a good experience. I'm testifying today as a proud member of Minnesota Association of Professional Employees, and I'm asking you to support Senate File 4629. The blood donation leave, ironically, I work with blood every day, but I'm also an avid blood donor. Campuses in the past, when I started 26 years ago, had a lot of blood drives. And we still do, at Winona State, have some blood drives. Not as often as we used to, but they are there. However, as a regular blood donor, I can tell you that they never seem to line up with the number of weeks in between my donations. The Red Cross, unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not sure, knows my phone number, and they call me often. So what I think this bill would help with, not necessarily me, because I'll figure out where to donate blood wherever in Winona, but I think it would help with getting more state employees at Minnesota State donating blood. Not everybody that is in Minnesota State does have that opportunity. For example, if you work at the system office, that is carved out because they're Minnesota State people, but they don't have blood drives. And not all campuses have blood drives. So I think this would help immensely with helping people get used to donating blood and helping our blood supply. Like I said earlier, the Red Cross knows my number, and they call me just as soon as they know I'm eligible to donate again. And the reason for that, I think Amanda explained quite eloquently, there is a shortage. So that is, thank you for the opportunity to testify. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from members? Senator Kupek.
I have one question. This seems like a really weird statute, that this line, why were Minnesota State employees excluded? I just don't understand. Like, why did that come to be? What was the thinking? There are always weird laws in the past where you're like, why did that law get put in place? Any idea why that law was put in place?
Senator.
That was the first question I asked, is like, this seems really weird to carve out. So I asked the same question. we don't know. Like, we went back to like 2008, and it's just kind of like, don't really know why it came about. So, I mean, even more of a reason, if we don't really know why or what the intent was, like, why keep it on the books?
Senator Kupek.
Sure, this is in the same vein of at one time it was illegal to walk from North Dakota to Minnesota with a duck on your head. Nobody knows why that law was once put in place, but it used to be on the books, and now it is not. So you can, yeah, you can do, I know Senator Utke really wants to do it now, but you can do it legally. So good to correct this, thanks.
Thank you so much, Senator. And any other questions from members? Any closing comments, Senator?
No, just appreciate the time. You know, I will just say this is still subject to approval from the supervisors, so we'll make sure that the businesses are still being met, but it also gives the opportunity for people at Minnesota State to participate this fully like all the other state employees, so appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And with that, Senate File 4629 will be laid over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we're going to have a presentation on the Minnesota P20 Education Partnership. First up, we have Josiah Liddon, who's going to be making a presentation, so welcome. Welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record, and you may begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Josiah Latant, the Executive Director of the Minnesota P20 Education Partnership. I want to confirm that you can see that and I plugged it in correctly. Thank you. Well, Senators, thank you for having me today. I'm excited to talk with you about the Minnesota P20 Education Partnership and the work we do. You have hopefully a copy of our annual report that we submit to the legislature every January. Today, I want to talk a little bit big picture about our work and what we provide to Minnesota. I also want to note that one of our Senate seats on the P20 is filled by Senator Oumou Verbeten, so pleased to have you here. Thank you. Want to talk today about starting with the challenge that you all face and the work we do in the P20 Education Partnership. So Minnesota's education challenges and opportunities span multiple systems and legislative committees. We know that the challenges we face in helping our students to exceed and improve outcomes for each and every Minnesotan doesn't sit in just one committee, but policy often does. And so you're being asked to solve problems that cross multiple sectors. In the case of our work, early childhood, K-12, higher ed, and workforce development, but with siloed tools. And so that's where P20 really looks holistically across all of those sectors to try to address fragmentation and inefficiencies and inequities, putting the whole learner at the center of our work and asking from a high-level policy perspective across our partners, what does this mean for the outcomes for a learner across the entirety of the learner lifespan? Our focus is on strengthening the entirety of that pathway from birth through the rest of lifetime engagement with education. So the P20 Education Partnership connects cross-sector insights to state-level policy conversations. I do want to note we are a nonpartisan entity consisting of 25 member organizations. You can see their logos there on our screen, representing education institutions, systems, state. And a particular highlight of the P20 is that we have bipartisan and bicameral legislative representation. As I mentioned, Senator Oumou Verbeten is a designee to the P20 partnership. I would also be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to mention that we have an open seat for a Republican senator to sit on the P20 partnership, and we'd be delighted to have someone step into that role. And we have 2 House representatives. So we are working across all of these key partners to collaborate across sectors and drive change and foster innovation. Our work is focused on identifying those priority issues across education and workforce. In particular, we talk about our work as working at the seams of education, looking at those transitions between different sectors, between different ages and stages as our students and learners move forward in the education system, and identifying how we are uniquely positioned to bring all of our partners together to come to the table to offer solutions and innovative strategies to solve challenges. So as I mentioned, our mission is to work to influence change, foster innovation, and advocate for policies and practices to address priority issues in education and workforce. We were codified by the legislature in 2009. So we have existed in statute for 17 years with the statutory obligation to identify legislative policy recommendations to strengthen student outcomes. A lot of our work also includes working at what I call the lowercase p policy level, looking in terms of collaboration across systems and silos and entities to where we can strengthen alignment and collaboration across our sectors. So we are really focused on the future workforce of Minnesota, future citizens of Minnesota, from our youngest learners up through those who are engaging with education throughout their lifetime, ultimately looking at that connection between the stages of education up through employment. One of the things that we've been working on this year and will continue doing throughout the summer is beginning to track early indicators and how those link to long-term outcomes. The P20 partnership has existed for 17 years. I've had the privilege of serving in this position for the last 3 as our inaugural executive director. And part of the conversation we've had is, all right, how do we show the impact of the work we are doing? How do we show how that coalition is helping to inform, influence, and lead change in our state? The P20 partnership does not have any authority. What we have is the influence of the group, of the voices at our table, and to help bring that knowledge to all of you in our work. So one of the things we're looking at is what are those indicators within our sphere of influence, within the work we're doing, that show who's at our table and how we're working together, how those feed our strategies across the P20's work, and how we believe we can connect that to key outcomes for learners at each age and stage of the learner lifespan. So things like looking at access, looking at attainment, looking at workforce readiness. We are taking a whole systems approach to ask not just what are the indicators in early childhood or K-12 or higher ed, but how are they connecting to one another? How are we showing how one outcome's leading to another or not? What are the places that students are not being successful, or we are losing students or certain students along the way? So we are developing that as we speak to help provide those metrics to indicate the impacts of our work. Right now, our current priorities are highlighted in the report. I won't walk you through all of them. You can read through them in the report. We have a number of areas of emerging policy work that will be leading to a number of legislative recommendations in the 2027 legislative session. We're always looking towards statewide alignment, and I want to be clear about what I mean by that, which is what are the opportunities to align strategies, practices, maybe sometimes policies, or remove barriers, while also ensuring that we're always working to provide maximum local flexibility and nuance and implementation, whether we're talking K-12 or we're talking in higher education. How do we support that local work? Here you can see a map of some of our current priorities and how they map across the P20 sectors. As you can see, I mentioned those seams earlier. Our work really straddles multiple sectors intentionally because the P20 exists not to be redundant, we're not programmatic. We don't want to do work that's already being done. We look to help fill those gaps and serve as a hub to bring folks together who are working in these spaces. There are 2 projects on this list I want to lift up and highlight for this particular committee. The others you can read about in your report. The first one is at the top, dual enrollment. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about work we're doing around dual enrollment. Dual enrollment is a terrific example of something that doesn't just fit squarely in K-12 or higher education, right? It crosses both of those sectors. The opportunities and the challenges of that work fit in both sectors. Last year, the Minnesota P20 Education Partnership and the state of Minnesota were selected to participate in a national cohort through the College and High School Alliance for a project called the Next Phase of Dual Enrollment Policy. We're one of 7 states participating in that work, and the focus is on helping our state to develop a vision for dual enrollment and identifying recommendations to strengthen the intentionality of students' dual enrollment experiences and improve access and success outcomes for students in dual enrollment. This is work we've been leading for the past year and working through multiple methods to have statewide engagement informing that work. You'll see some of that in the report, some of the literally thousands of folks, administrators, teachers, students, families who are engaging and giving feedback to our work. That will result in a series of recommendations. We'll be putting out a report this fall, and then the P20 partnership will work through that report and decide which of those ideas they want to endorse to send on to all of you as recommendations to strengthen dual enrollment. So it's one example of an area where we really are acting as a hub to help facilitate that work across sectors. The other example I want to give towards the bottom of this slide is on the post-secondary attainment goal, which I know is of particular interest to this committee. Minnesota had a 10-year-long post-secondary attainment goal that expired last year. And you will see in our report, we actually speak to this attainment goal. The P20 Partnership's leadership strongly recommends renewal of that goal. And one of the pieces that we've talked about with our members and look at is we know post-secondary attainment is critical for social and economic mobility for each and every Minnesotan. We want to be really clear that that post-secondary outcome is the result of early childhood and K-12 and higher education. So we strongly recommend thinking in those terms and looking at how can we make what is currently implicit more explicit and how we think about the journey of a learner to get to that post-secondary learning outcome. So we're excited to continue conversations about the attainment goal and what that might look like for all of you. Ultimately, what I hope you'll take away from today is that our cross-sector lens can be really advantageous for legislative decision-making. There are few entities in the state that are looking across all ages, systems, schools and institution types, every corner of our state all at once. We are also a public-private partnership. We have members of Mindependent, Minnesota Private College Council, the Chamber of Commerce. We have public-private representation, and so we are well poised to help you all see how policy choices interact across those silos over time and throughout a learner lifespan. So we hope that your takeaway is that we can be a tremendous tool for legislators and certainly for educational leaders in our state. And we encourage you to consider us as a resource as this session and beyond, as workforce and education issues arise. We're happy to help advise, connect the dots, and help improve the outcomes for each and every one of our learners in Minnesota. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Members, are there any questions for our testifier? Seeing none, we can go into Senator Oumou Verbeten's bill that is related to the presentation. So, Senator, welcome. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am really grateful that we were able to have Josiah Latant here today to present on the great work that the Minnesota P20 is doing. I have really enjoyed sitting on the partnership and hope that we'll be able to fill the vacancy that we have here in the Senate so we can get a member from the other party as well. But the bill that I have before you today will fund the Minnesota P20's core operations. As you heard in the presentation, this is a really important multi-sector independent coalition of leaders representing everything from early childhood to K-12, higher education, nonprofits, workforce development, and government. The partnership, of course, is bipartisan, bicameral. It has those spots for legislators, and it was created by this legislature. The issue is that it has not been funded, and so this bill would provide the requested roughly $1 million annual appropriation necessary to fund its core operations. I want to just mention that the Minnesota P20 is truly unique. There's really not another entity working in the education space that's doing exactly what they're doing. I think we really need a structured space for Minnesota's education policy community to really foster that collaboration, help set some priorities, and advise on policy. And ultimately, this is about benefiting Minnesota's students. In your packets, you will see letters of support from a number of organizations: MNEEP, EPC, United Way, College Possible, ECMC. One thing I want to highlight is there's a joint letter from the University of Minnesota, Minnesota State, and the Minnesota Private College Council. So I think it's really impressive to see all of the systems in support of the Minnesota P20 and speaks to the great work that they're doing, that there are so many partners who've been at the table who sit on the Minnesota P20 that really want to make sure that this work continues and that it those basic core operations are funded in order for that work to continue.
Thank you, Senator.
That's the next one.
So we have our first testifier is going to be, again, Josiah, welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record again, and you may begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Josiah Latant, Executive Director of the Minnesota P20 Education Partnership. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today in support of SF 4481. In 2009, the legislature saw an opportunity to pair two things often at odds with one another: innovation and efficiency. In that legislative session, you formalized the P20 Education Partnership to strengthen outcomes from birth through higher education. By launching this cross-sector coalition, you set Minnesota at the forefront of change and sent a clear message. Real progress happens when we work in collaboration across the seams of our education system. We exist to help you make informed policy decisions. Our coalition brings together 25 statewide organizations and agencies, leaders who rarely sit at the same table altogether. And our membership is strengthened by the inclusion of bipartisan legislators, ensuring our direct connection to policymakers and to the legislature itself. Together, this coalition turns shared knowledge into policy-ready recommendations through alignment across Minnesota's education and workforce systems, a place where no single agency owns the transitions, but every learner feels them, from early childhood to K-12, from high school to post-secondary, and from credential to career. P20 offers policy leaders something invaluable: one trusted, nonpartisan place to turn for guidance on improving student outcomes. And this biennium, stakeholders have seen the benefits of this approach, and you have called on us more than ever, including naming us as key participants in 5 bills over the past 2 legislative sessions so far. This is not by chance. It happened because Minnesota sees that the only way to solve complex educational challenges is through true cross-sector collaboration. Through generous philanthropic partners, the P20 has developed a proven and powerful model. But one-time grants alone cannot maintain, strengthen, or scale this work. This bill recognizes that Minnesota needs sustained capacity to collaborate on solutions to education's most sticky problems. Without alignment, Minnesota risks fragmentation and inefficiency. And Minnesota's updated economic forecast gives us room to make strategic investments that strengthen systems and reduce duplication. Funding the P20 partnership does not create new bureaucracy. Instead, it invests in the transformative work we have already been doing. It supports further improvement in education policy, ultimately leading to stronger student outcomes. It is my great privilege to build on the visionary efforts that this legislature began 17 years ago, and today I testify in support of Bill SF 4481, and I thank each of you for your continued commitment to all of Minnesota's learners. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next up, we have John Fanning. Welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record, and you may begin.
Thank you so much. My name is John Fanning. I am the director of the Education Partnerships Coalition of Minnesota. EPC testifies in strong support of Senate File 4481 to increase investment in the Minnesota P20 Education Partnership. EPC is a bipartisan coalition of 9 cradle-to-career membership partnerships across Minnesota. Our collective impact model engages more than 600 partner organizations, covering a service area that includes more than 300,000 young Minnesotans and their families. We are in many different parts of the state. So we're in greater Minnesota, metro Minnesota, urban Minnesota. We are in communities that are predominantly red, predominantly blue, and a mix of the two. We take our bipartisan stance really seriously, coming together across these communities to do what we should be doing, supporting young Minnesotans and their families. The Minnesota P20 Partnership is absolutely one of our most important partners. We share a cradle-to-career scope of work, we share a statewide geographic range, and we share a commitment to serve all Minnesotans toward higher, better, and more equitable outcomes. We are in continuous communication with P20, right, with the staff, with the members, and in collaboration, we move work forward more efficiently and more effectively. We're also part of a national network named Strive Together, or called Strive Together, and this informs another reason why it's really important to make these investments in the Minnesota P20. We are able to see from this vantage point all the dollars, the private dollars, that flow to other states that have done the work already to really organize, coordinate across sectors their education to workforce sectors. So I'll give some examples that I've shared in other hearings. Gates Foundation right now is releasing $53 million across the country, and California just got $9 million of that. Far beyond their proportional share, but that's because they've done a bunch of this work already. They've organized it into career ladders, and the Gates Foundation is investing in that. Moving to the for-profit side, Toyota Corporation is opening its 5th plant. Actually, they've already opened it. Their 5th plant in Kentucky with a $225 million price tag. And to listen to why that's happening, both listening to Toyota and listening to the governor and lieutenant governor of Kentucky, it's about the coordination that has happened, mostly in rural communities in Kentucky, to make sure that education and workforce are working together so that when these plants are built and employing hundreds, if not thousands of people, they're not running into labor shortages. What's happening here with P20 is already working well. So you heard Mr. Latant talk about the dual enrollment. 7 states nationally that you were chosen to be in that group. 43 states didn't get chosen. In another way, and you didn't mention this, but we were together earlier this week, the Commission of the States is highlighting this kind of coordinated work for states nationally, for states across the nation, and Josiah and his team are one of them. So in closing, I just want to thank you and say this is not just critical, of course, for the well-being of young Minnesotans and their families, but also for our shared economy, for our workforce, and for the future of our state. Thanks for your consideration of my testimony.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for our first 2 testifiers? Senator Utke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And because this has got money in it, I got questions related to funding. Did the state fund this last year, or has it funded it any time in the past, back to the original date that it started?
Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the question. No.
Senator Utke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I heard reference at one point where it referenced one-time grants. Is that how you've been funded the whole time?
Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I will pass it to Mr. Latant to share a little bit more information about how they've been pulling together funding.
Thank you. Yes, so it has been a combination of one-time grants, as well as right now we have some interim funding from our executive committee, which is the University of Minnesota, Minnesota State Colleges and Universities, the Office of Higher Ed, and the Minnesota Department of Education. Those have been negotiated on a year-by-year basis because they're not permanent line item in any of those organizations.
Mr. Chair, I got one more question. This has got a request for $1,060,000. What portion of your annual budget is that?
Senator Oumou Verbeten or our testifier, Mr. Latant?
Happy to answer the question. Thank you for the question, Senator. That represents our, well, how do I want to answer that? Right now, it represents our full budget, which we don't have right now. Let me be clear, we don't have a full budget right now. Right now, what's being covered is my staff position, a second staff position, a deputy director, and funding to the Office of Higher Ed, who's hosting us right now. So what this budget represents is funding for those staff positions and operational essentials that we have not had any funding for in order to do our work with fidelity. I also want to be clear, we envision probably 2 to 3 times what we could do Beyond that budget, we are not looking for the legislature to fund everything that we need to do. As Senator Oumou Verbeten said, we see that budget in front of you as sort of our baseline to do our operations fully. We are, and then we can see opportunities to build beyond that with braided funding that we're exploring through multiple other pathways.
Senator Arkin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I will just add one more thing then. Talk about the braided funding, but you would continue to seek grants and extra funding outside of this to make the whole package come together or to actually grow the system.
Mr. Lassant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator, yes, absolutely. We're looking at other grant opportunities in an ongoing way to fund projects that we're working on. We also have opportunities. Other states have contacted us with interest in consulting with us to learn how to build and run P20s efficiently, and we've been working through the state to figure out the pathways to do that as another funding stream so that we're not asking the legislature to fund all of our operations moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you.
Senator Putnam has also volunteered money from the ag budget as well, so, no.
Then it could be, I mean, this could go sky high then. Ag's got a lot of money.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Farnsworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the request here is for $1 million. And I'm sorry, maybe I'm a little bit simple here. So looking at what you do, it says we collaborate across sectors to drive change and foster innovation by identifying priority issues in education and workforce development. A lot of educational buzzwords in there. I don't know what you do. Like, are you like a think tank? I'm just wondering, what is this funding actually going to be used for?
Mr. Lassant.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator. I'm so glad you asked that question. So we do a number of things. We talked earlier about the coalition of members that we have. We gather them quarterly to share information between them. They advise on projects we're doing. Ultimately, they also provide the vote on recommendations that we will bring to you around policy. So that's one piece of it. Another piece that we do is coordination of efforts. I mentioned the dual enrollment project. I probably could list about 15 others. They are listed in your annual report of work that we are doing that requires bringing different entities in the state together and providing that additional capacity and coordination and continuity to get the work done in projects and areas that don't sit squarely with just one of them. So we are providing that, and even for the small amount of staff that we have right now, that added capacity for those shared kind of projects is critical because we know at our agencies, our institutions, our schools, nobody has extra capacity to do that work. So there's a lot of that facilitation happening. We're also having a lot of cross-conversation constantly with our legislators that serve on the P20, with our P20 members about connecting the dots, seeing where there are shared opportunities, things that are being done maybe in silos, and supporting the work to, so yes, there's a think tank component, but not just saying, this is a good idea, we should do this. Actually doing the work to bring folks together and provide the continuity to get that work done. So I encourage you, in that annual report, you'll see a list as an example of the numerous projects we've led the last year, which I think will help sort of fill in those lines a bit more.
Senator Farnsworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't see, is the report in here? I see letters. Otherwise, I mean, do you just have some examples of some of the projects that you've done?
Yeah, I believe it's in the packet, but Mr. Lassant also.
I don't know if you have the annual report in front of you. It was attached. I can make sure to get sent again if you don't. Those are our slides, but there's also an annual report that I sent in, so apologies if you don't have that. Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So for example, right now we have a task force that we are leading jointly with the Governor's Workforce Development Board, consisting of GWDB members and P20 members, looking at the educator workforce. So that group has been working over several months to develop a set of recommendations for the legislature on what we can be doing to strengthen our educator workforce in early childhood and K-12, and with our partners in higher education who are training our educators, looking across the educator journey. So we've got small teams working on looking at each stage of that educator journey, from exploring to becoming a teacher to growing and thriving as a teacher or educator. That's one example. Another example, about 2 years ago, we developed a report called Credentials of Value, analyzing credentials of value in Minnesota, post-secondary credentials that lead to family-sustaining wages and several other factors, and identifying a proposed matrix of how would we assess credentials of value. What does that mean? How do we make sure that credentials that students are earning in a post-secondary learning experience are leading to family-sustaining wage and other important outcomes for Minnesotans? Some of that work is now being used and referred to as the basis for things like the workforce Pell, right? And so part of our work sometimes is pulling those folks together to do that work, to look at the research, the best practices, make sure it's rooted in the Minnesota experience, understanding what our communities across the state best need, and developing those frameworks. I could probably go on with a number of others, and I'd also be happy to talk to any of you offline if you would like to have more examples of what that work has looked like. There are initiatives across that P20 spectrum to make sure that we are coming together strategically, collaborating consistently, but also delivering results, tangible results for Minnesota.
Thank you. Senator Farnsworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for that. That is helpful. I mean, I think it's probably a good idea to know what the funding is for or what it's going to be used for, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to mention and remind folks that, you know, we as a legislature did create the Minnesota P20 because we saw the value in having this sort of cross-sector collaboration to look at everything from early childhood education to K-12, higher ed, workforce, bring the stakeholders together to do that work. And this bill is really funding the small core operations to sustain the great work that Josiah Laton and the staff are doing. They certainly would continue to seek other sources of funding to grow and expand that work. And I also wanted to make sure that I believe Commissioner Olson wanted to say a few words in support of the bill as well, if we could have him come up.
Welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Dennis Olson, proud to serve as the Commissioner of the Minnesota Office of Higher Education. I will just preface my testimony here briefly by saying this is not a recommendation included within the governor's budget, but as the past chair of the P20 partnership and a current member of the executive committee, I was kicking myself a little bit when I saw all the letters of support in the rack behind me and included in your packets. I wanted to make sure I at least offered my support as well for the bill in front of you and for the P20 partnership overall. I will just say that, you know, this bill, like you've heard a couple of times, just represents the long-term vision of not only the executive committee. You heard Mr. Laton talk about the members of the executive committee, University of Minnesota, Minnesota State System, the Department of Education, as well as the Office of Higher Education. We really view this, along with all the member organizations and partners of the partnership, we view this as the logical next step to really meet the original intent of the legislature in creating this partnership. You know, and as we had the funding discussion, how the current funding structure is put together, we believe in this so deeply, we being not only myself as an agency leader, but all of the executive committee members believe in this so deeply that, you know, we have committed resources that frankly are tight to make sure that we are sustaining the partnership here until there is a long-term appropriation that is predictable and sustainable for the partnership. And so we have, you know, in addition to philanthropic support, have been contributing amongst our agencies here, and so would be in full support of this going forward to make sure that it is sustainable. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, for your testimony. And so seeing any final words, Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is, you know, we're waiting to see what targets will look like, but I wanted to make sure we started having this conversation early in this committee about the work that the Minnesota P20 is doing, and given what the legislature did in creating this, what it would take to fund core operations, I think this is a really small appropriation that would go a long way, considering all the folks that this partnership brings together and the work they've been able to produce just by kind of piecemealing things. This would be a tremendous help. And again, the support is really overwhelming, seeing all three systems come together to put together a joint letter of support for this. A number of organizations that are members and part of the Minnesota P20 partnership, I think, really speaks to its value. So I hope we'll be able to find resources for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator. And with that, Senator Oumou Verbeten moves that SF 4481 be recommended to pass. And onto the Committee on Finance. And re-refer to the Committee on Finance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The bill is passed, and then we're going to move on to SF 4738, which is also Senator Oumou Verbeten. I believe you have the A1 amendment, Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I do have that author's amendment just to get the bill in the shape I want it to be in. This has been based on conversation with our student organizations and Minnesota State. And the amendment just sort of reflects what the system needs in order to give priority registration to student parents. And I can share a little bit more about the bill if that's helpful, and then adopt the author's amendment.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So Senate File 4738 is a bill to strengthen Minnesota's support for pregnant and parenting students in our public colleges and universities. We do already have a statute protecting pregnant and parenting students, which says that if a college offers priority registration to any group, parenting students must be included. But in practice, the protection has been inconsistent and often invisible to students. It doesn't guarantee that parenting students actually receive priority registration, and it does not require institutions to proactively identify or notify students of this right. And so it kind of exists on paper, but isn't actually the experience that students are getting. So we're trying to make that fix with this bill. It guarantees parenting students receive priority registration rather than leaving it optional or inconsistent, requires institutions to proactively notify students of their rights, ensures students do not have to self-advocate or sort of navigate the kind of bureaucracy around this or discover protections rather than being told what they are up front. And this is really important because our parenting students are balancing coursework with childcare schedules, work obligations, family responsibilities. Course access is not a convenience issue. It is a completion issue, and missing a required class can delay graduation. It can increase debt or push a student out altogether. So priority registration is one of the low-cost, high-impact tools that we have to support these students.
Thank you, Senator. And with that, Senator Oumou Verbeten moves the A1 amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The amendment is adopted. Our first testifier is Sean Anderson. Welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record, Mr. Anderson, and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Senator. My name is Sean Anderson. I serve as a System Director for Minnesota State, System Director for Student Development and Success for Minnesota State Colleges and Universities. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. The amendment really, as was indicated, puts into place some protections for our pregnant and parenting students. And in terms of kind of walking through that, and E1, the automatically assigning an eligible parent or pregnant student to a registration really ensures that once the student has gone through the official process of indicating that they are a parent student, which was brought into law, I believe last year or the year before, that each college and university had to have that process in place. The student no longer has to then do any lifting. It should automatically happen because they've answered that question affirmatively that they are a parent or pregnant student, and that they would then be assigned into a priority registration window if the college or university offers that. In terms of E2, pregnant and parenting students would not have to do a petition, or commonly referred to as an appeal in student language, to be included into that priority registration window if they have been verified through that process, and which is simply them self-disclosing that they are a parent or a pregnant student, and that they're able to then move through that process without, as indicated, a petition or appeal. In E3, that would be an annual notification that goes out to all students that are enrolled at the college or university, disclosing what the rights and protections that are afforded to pregnant and parenting students. And that is done on an annual basis. It could be done more, but at minimum, it would be done on an annual basis. For Section E4, that notification of the priority registration process would go out to those students who have indicated they are a pregnant or parenting student through that verification process, which again is self-disclosure. And then they would automatically be included into that notification of what that process for priority registration would look like for them. Example would be what the window of opportunity is to begin the registration process. And then for E5, each college and university would publish on their website all of the programs and services and the rights that are specific to pregnant and parenting students so that students can really find that information easily and that it's available to them on the college website as much information or the college or university website as much information is. Currently, E3, E4, and E5 are also accounted for in a Minnesota State System Procedure 1B13, and so elements of that are already in place. This would just solidify that further. Thank you, Senator, for carrying this bill forward. Thank you for your attention today.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next up, we have Jasmine Devora. Welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record, and you may begin.
Thank you, Chair Fateh and members. My name is Jasmine Devora. I'm a student worker at Metro State University in the Student Health and Basic Needs Department. Student parents in Minnesota State colleges, they are already carrying some of the heaviest responsibilities. They're balancing coursework with childcare, the unpredictable daily life. And at the Student Parent Center, I regularly see students come in during moments of real crisis when childcare falls through, work schedules change, or life simply becomes really overwhelming. In those moments, one of their biggest fears is whether they'll be able to go and register for the courses that they need to stay on track. Recently, we had a pregnant student come in to the Student Parent Center at Metro, and she was panicking at the thought of losing the childcare grant that she was provided if she wasn't signed up for the following term. She needed specific courses for her individual studies degree. We were going over a plan for her academic courses that she was going to register for, but she kept repeating to me, like, what if the classes had filled up and I'm unable to register? Knowing her relationship with the Student Parent Center, knowing she was a parent, I reminded her that she already had priority registration. Now, the student has coursework lined up after meeting with their advisor. They have a better sense of when they'll be in classes. And because they're a registered student, they're eligible for basic resource services provided by Metro. Her educational path won't be stalled or derailed by uncompleted or unavailable classes. Right now, her future is predictable. That's why I think registration matters so much. When students learn they are on that list and will have first access to classes, there's an immediate sense of relief that you can see. It removes a layer of uncertainty, and the issues isn't just priority registration, does it exist, but whether the students are clearly identified or proactively notified. Too often, this right exists on paper, but not in practice. And it leaves students to navigate systems and advocate for themselves when they're already stretched thin. Course access is not just convenience, it's also about completion. Missing required classes can delay graduation, increase financial strain, or push a student out of school entirely, which we have seen. Student parents have made a difficult decision to pursue higher education to improve their lives and the lives of their families. We should not burden them further by making them fight for support that already exists. Ensuring consistent identification and notifications of priority registration is a simple, high-impact step towards equity, retention, and student success. This bill does not create a new concept. It ensures that a right already recognized in Minnesota law is delivered to students. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Are there any questions for our first two testifiers? Nope. Okay. Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. Just a couple of questions, if that's okay. Probably for the bill author. Does this bill distinguish between undergraduate and graduate enrollment, or is it everything?
Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, can you repeat the question, Senator
I
Duckworth?
certainly can.
Senator Duckworth.
Does it distinguish between enrolling in undergraduate courses versus graduate courses? And the only reason I ask is I know sometimes, obviously, folks in graduate programs might find themselves in a different situation, or you might have a lot more students in graduate programs that have children already. And so are we trying to focus on folks that have children who are dependents, or if they're no longer dependent, does that matter at all? Just asking for a little bit of clarification there, I guess. If I was a higher education institution, that's maybe one of the questions I would ask.
Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Duckworth, for the question. I was trying to get a little bit more information about how this is working across the system right now. Part of why I'm bringing the bill together, bringing the bill forward, is because there's been some different approaches across the Minnesota state system. So there are certain campuses where they do have that priority at that level, but this is focusing on undergraduate students.
Senator Duckworth.
Thank you. Is there a place in the bill where it makes that clarification, or are you just stating that's your intent?
Senator Oumou Verbeten.
I think the intention, and I worked closely with Students United, our student organizations, on bringing forward this bill, and then Minnesota State for some of that kind of technical assistance, was to focus on undergraduate students first. I think I would defer to the student organizations if they're continuing to see that issue at other levels and would like to see priority registration across the system.
Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And then my next question has to do with line 3.17. Talks about automatically assigning eligible pregnant and parenting students. How are we expecting the higher education institutions to determine eligibility? Is there some sort of implied verification process, or how is that being handled? As you can imagine, it could be kind of a delicate situation to try to figure out or ensure that people are eligible, or to verify that. So just looking for any thought that's been given to that possible.
Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just defer to our testifier to talk through their process of verification at Minnesota State.
Welcome.
Mr. Chair, Senator, Minnesota State, at the beginning of every semester, a student through e-services, which is a part of our student portal, a question pops up that asks the student, are they a parenting student? And the student has the option to answer yes, no, or decline to answer. Once they've answered yes, that would make that automatic. That would then carry through. That's the verification point. It is a self-disclosure by the student, because to your point, it is a sensitive matter, and that is how we would do it, is through that question. And that data is then also reported in terms of parenting students. Is part of that process that we report to the Office of Higher Education, Office of Higher Education, is a number of parenting students.
Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick follow-up then. Any idea what percentage of students enrolled self-select that they are a parenting student?
Mr. Chair, Senator, at this point, we don't. This fall was our first semester of that question being live for our students, and we did discover we had to do a rewrite because we had a number of parents of students who were answering the question in the affirmative for their student. And so at one of our universities, there was a disproportionate number of students who indicated they were parents. So we reworked the question, and we hope to have better data at the end of the spring semester.
Mr. Chair, if I may, so I can't judge because I'm pretty sure my mom did a lot of that for me too, when it came to applying for college, et cetera. But that kind of gets back to the first question I asked, which is whether it's on accident, a misunderstanding, or maybe on purpose because somebody wants to get preferred chance to enroll early. What's the process for ensuring that this isn't being taken advantage of? I know that sounds pretty, minor or relatively minuscule, but I can tell you there are folks out there who will say, ooh, a chance to register early, and I don't really have to go through any sort of verification. I'm going to check that box and make sure I have the ability to get the classes I want to before everybody else. So just some food for thought in terms of if this were to become law, how it might play out, or even if it's, obviously, it doesn't have to be law for higher education institutions to do this. Perhaps many of them already are. I think that might likely be the case. And maybe it's a very, very small, tiny population of students, so it really doesn't matter anyway, but just food for thought to say, hey, if we're going to go down this road, let's make sure that, folks are using it the way that we intend it to be used. That's all I've got, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Duckworth. I appreciate the questions. I was thinking it would just maybe helpful to hear a little bit more about the number of students at Metro State and some of the process after people self-disclose, what that follow-up looks like for student parents.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, so we have a few hundred students at Metro State that are registered as like student parents because of that e-services question. And then once they're prompted through that survey, the Student Parent Center will reach out to them, and then we have a one-to-one with them because through the Student Parent Center, we provide like various services. So we do get to see the person one-to-one and verify that, they are parents.
Thank you. Senator Farnsworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm wondering, the Minnesota Human Rights Act states that it's illegal to discriminate in education based on a number of things, one of them being familial status. So it would seem to me on the face that this would be in direct conflict with the Minnesota Human Rights Act, although I know that there are exceptions. For example, a religious school, like say a Christian school, can discriminate and say that only practicing Christians can attend the school. So there are religious exemptions. I'm wondering, it's possible that while it seems like this conflicts with the Minnesota Human Rights Act, do you know if there's any exemptions that would cover this?
Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the question, Senator Farnsworth. Not aware of any exemptions or if that would be in conflict. I would just point out that we do already have those protections for student parents in statute already. I would think they would have been challenged at this point if there was that conflict. This bill is really trying to put it into practice and make sure that the system is more proactive about the protections that they are entitled to.
Senator Farnsworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And you might be right. It may have been challenged, or maybe because it's never really been in practice, nobody's noticed it. And it's possible that Senator Duckworth's mom could have tried to register him and be like, whoa, I didn't get in my class because this group took up all of the slots. And then, that's sort of when somebody would challenge it, is when they discover that it maybe is negatively impacting them. But I was just wondering if maybe there was one of those exceptions, because familial status is one of those protected groups. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. Any other questions from members? Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Senator Oumou Verbeten, for bringing this bill. When I was in college in 1890, I was an athlete. And athletes got preferential treatment for when they wanted to register for classes. And that was it. No other category of student did. Athletes did. So there is historical precedent for the principle here. But it's time, I think, that we actually enacted the principle more consistently with our values and realizing that, parenting mothers are significantly more deserving of that preferential treatment than I was 140 years ago.
Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Thank you. You do bring up a good point, Senator Putnam, of just this is a practice that exists, and making sure that it aligns with our values, and we're ensuring the folks who really do need this priority registration are getting it. I just lastly want to say that I know Students United, Lead MN did have their lobby days and saw a lot of support across the legislature for this issue. So I'm hoping that we're able to move forward and make sure we're supporting our working families and students who are having to navigate a lot of things in order to complete their degrees.
Thank you, Senator. And seeing that there are no other questions, Senate File 4738 will be laid over. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Senator Putnam.
I'm supposed to remind you to cross out the part about the statute in your talking points because they couldn't get it into the. Oh, that's okay. I probably wasn't going to go with okay. Mini kids.
Enter snarky remark here, Senator Putnam.
Senator Fateh, you look so different. Your hair looks better now.
Wow, he's always close to the hair. You're just jealous.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe we're first talking about Senate File 3120, which is works on a program called Mini Kids. You know, members, we've heard, I think, recently about Trump accounts, which is a new theory of supporting young folks coming from the federal government. But that's not a new idea. The idea of helping a child at its inception, its very earliest ages, it has a phenomenal long-term consequence on that child's success and future. In economics, it's often known as baby bucks, which is the idea if you give a kid 20 bucks when they're born, by the time that they're an adult, they're actually doing pretty well. It also influences some of the life choices and the decisions they make, as our friends are, I'm sure, going to elucidate later on when we discuss the actual details of the bill. What we have here before us is one sort of baby bucks-like program dedicated specifically to pursuit of higher education, post-secondary education. This bill would create a pilot program wherein anyone born in Stearns, Wright, Sherburne, Rice, or Benton counties, or Ramsden or Hennepin counties, if the child's biological mother is eligible for medical assistance under Chapter 246B, would get an initial investment in an account that would account for their eventual pursuit of higher ed when they turn 18. Now, Mr. Chair, I think it would be best for us to all get on the same page with some of the changes that we've made in the bill. So if possible, I'd like to move the authors of the A3 amendment.
Sure. Senator Putnam moves the A3 authors amendment. Do you want to discuss that, or would you like to just do the vote first?
So Mr. Chair, it's
an authors amendment. We could just do that.
There's a little bit more detail into this than just your basic, comma correction authors amendment. This is more explicit about the nature of the pilot program that we would use to kind of test the concept to make sure that it would work for the rest of the state. So it does make more clear which counties in particular we're going to deal with. And there's a couple, musts. There always has to be a must versus a may. There's one of those in there too. And then there's a little bit more discussion of what the actual dates would be and some of the eligible entities and those kinds of things. That's in total, the sort of high-level summary of the A3 amendment, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So with that, Senator Putnam moves the A3 amendment. All in favor of the A3 amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? A3 amendment is adopted. You may continue.
So, Mr. Chair, members, as I suggested earlier, basically what this does is it sets young people up with an opportunity to be successful. A lot of us, I think, wonder why we pursued some sort of post-secondary education. I do all the time. Neither of my parents went to college, graduated from college, excuse me. But I remember when I was a kid, my mom taking me to school with her, and I could take notes with my crayons when she went back to college. That's what put the seed for me into thinking about going into higher education. Members, for a lot of folks in our communities, just having 50 bucks in a bank account when you were born, that's now maybe a couple $1,000s when you turn 18, is enough of a reason to make you start thinking about the possibilities of post-secondary education. So members, this bill and this idea, this concept is exceedingly important as we think about the long-term success of our student population and of our state. Members, you may or may not know this because we haven't talked about this yet in this committee, but Minnesota's jobs has the highest requirement of post-secondary education than any other state in the Midwest. 74% of the jobs in Minnesota require some degree of post-secondary education. If we don't get young people thinking about and prepared for post-secondary education as early as possible, we can't meet that goal. We can't employ the people who need to be employed in our state. And so, Mr. Chair and members, this is a bill that would enable us to do that, to change people's lives starting in their earliest days. And with that, Mr. Chair, our friends here can provide some testimony as well.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Putnam. So first I have Aaron Martin. You may state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Erin Martin, and I serve as the Director of Policy and System Transformation at Youth Prize. And I'm also here today representing the Mini Kids Coalition in support of the Mini Kids Act, SF 3120, which creates a vital infrastructure for children's savings accounts, or CSAs, in Minnesota and builds off of previous legislation for mini kids. This is actually the third bill that's been moved over the past 6 years on CSAs. There was a pilot in St. Paul in 2019. Many folks now know about College Bound St. Paul, and design grants in 2023 that worked with Greater Minnesota and Hennepin County to build out what a program could look like at a statewide level. And so now this bill that you have in front of you is really thinking about the expansion and infrastructure in order to scale mini kids statewide. This proposal is really the result of years of intentional design and collaboration with deep community roots. It was written with significant input from families, young people, philanthropy, and local businesses. We've worked closely with communities involved in the original CSA pilots. That bill from 2023, which was in Senator Putnam's district, was one of the communities up in the kind of St. Cloud, central Minnesota area, Rice County area, and Hennepin County. And we've worked with the coalition, which has representatives from more than 40 organizations and businesses statewide, and the support of many individuals and families from every corner of the state, including the metro, suburbs, rural areas, and tribal communities. The proposal before you today is also informed by our work with the Midwest CSA Consortium, learning from best practices across the country to ensure that Minnesota's model is both rigorous and effective. We're following a proven path based on those states that have gone before us. 19 other states currently have statewide CSA programs, and numerous more local programs exist nationwide, including right here in St. Paul. This includes 9 red states, 7 blue states, and 3 purple states that all have statewide programs. So it really is a bipartisan issue when we think about what it looks like to scale a program statewide. Research shows that children from low to moderate income backgrounds with even $1 to $499 saved for college, that between $1 and $499 saved for college are 3 times more likely to enroll and 4 times more likely to graduate from college. By using an automatic opt-out design instead of asking folks to opt in to having these accounts, we ensure that the 18-year growth clock starts immediately. This removes the administrative and psychological hurdles that often prevent families who face the most barriers from ever starting a college savings plan, and allows nonprofits, corporate entities, and eventually, hopefully, government to seed and add bonus deposits into those accounts to help them grow those accounts even more quickly. The savings is then held in a kind of offshoot of the MinSaves 529's accounts and can be used for any eligible expense, including 2-year and 4-year programs, technical certificates, and registered apprenticeships. And the amendment introduced today reflects the current administrative realities and incorporates vital technical input from the Office of Higher Education and the Minnesota Department of Health, who we worked closely with to make some adjustments to this bill to make sure that it could be implemented, and narrowing our focus this year to those counties that Senator Putnam mentioned: Stearns, Wright, Sherburne, Rice, and Benton, as well as Medicaid eligible births in Hennepin and Ramsey counties. This represents nearly 14,000 of the 65,000 babies born each year in Minnesota, with the intention that hopefully over the next 2 years we'll be able to scale to a full statewide rollout of the program. The bill also includes $300,000 for pilot grants to empower urban, rural, and tribal communities to conduct their own outreach, gain additional key insights, and build on the great work of the communities that went before them.
Members, this means that your local community could apply for a planning grant to become a local Mini Kids affiliate site, ensuring that your community's voices are heard as we continue to scale this program. This pilot is strategic. It's a necessary step to ensure and test the infrastructure before a full statewide rollout, which we hope will follow over the next 2 years. A Mini Kids Act is about more than just a bank balance. It's about improving the aspirations a child has for themselves and a parent has for their child. I urge you to support SF 3120, the Mini Kids Act, today. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Before we go to the questions, we have one more testifier. Leandra Estes, welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record, and you may begin.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Leandra Estes. I am a college-bound parent, participant, and ambassador. I am a direct descendant of the Roundel community and a Frogtown homeowner. Seeing a $50 seed in a bank account has changed my thinking, my dreams, my goals, my life, and more importantly, gives hope for my son's future. I would love for all Minnesota families to feel that same hope. I have 3 children, a 24-year-old whom I sent off to college, but because of the cost, she did not make it past her first semester. I have a 19-year-old. She is currently taking a trades program in carpentry, but she is working 2 jobs to help fund that. She is door dashing when she has time and working with the children and after school programs and on weekends. I also have a 4-year-old, and with him, I am no longer afraid of his outcome because I know that having this college-specific pot is going to increase his likelihood of going to school, going to college, going to further his education, and it will be supported. It will be done. We won't have to remove him from school because of the cost. I first learned of College Bound right at the birth of my son. I continue to hear and learn the information, and with the ambassadors now being inside of the St. Paul Public Schools, I mean, the information is there, and the parents can have access to it. These accounts change the minds. You no longer have to say if, but when my child goes to further his education. These accounts influence family activity. They influence well checkups for your children. They influence childcare and education, and they also build financial literacy. I am an ambassador because it's a common dream, and I am sharing the common knowledge, the hope and the dream that our kids can have a bright future. I speak with parents all the time, at work, at events, in the neighborhood. Today, I am speaking to you. Because together, we have the power needed to bring the success to all Minnesota children. A child's zip code should not determine whether they have a savings account. Investing in our children because they are our future is the right thing to do. And I urge you today to please support Senate File 3120 so that every parent can have that same head start that I have for my child.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and your testimony. Are there any questions from members? Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of questions. Is this a program that would be available to everybody here in Minnesota? Every child upon their birth?
Senator Putnam.
Mr. Chair, Chair Kupek, Senator Duckworth, I think that is the eventual plan. Right now, obviously, we're talking about expanding the prior pilot to make sure that more kids are able to get this head start. But I think the eventual hope is that every kid in the state of Minnesota should have this opportunity. And one last sort of data point that I think is significant is that if a child has at least $1 in a CSA by the time they turn 18, they are 3 times more likely to go to post-secondary education and 4 times more likely to graduate. We think simply in terms of return of investment, how cheap it is for us to put $50 into someone's account, even if it is every child in the state of Minnesota. That's still a lot cheaper and a lot better for our economy than if we did not.
Senator Duckworth?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for that answer. So if you remove the pilot portion of this and you applied it to the entire state of Minnesota, would every child be eligible under this bill, or would it be only children that belong to families of a certain demographic, whether that be income, et cetera?
Senator Putnam? Welcome.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you, Mr. Chair. The bill as it is currently written would only be for those children born in those specific counties, and except for in Hennepin and Ramsey, because of the sheer number of children in those areas. We've limited it to babies that were Medicaid, born with a parent who's on Medicaid at the time of their birth. If we were to, and previous versions of this bill did include every baby born in Minnesota starting in 2027 would get a $50 deposit in their account, and every baby born to a low-income family using Medicaid as the indicator would get $100 in their account. Previous versions have done that. We would love to see that eventually be the plan, but that if we were to make it for every 65,000 babies would cost roughly $17 million. So we're trying to be cognizant and aware of the fact that is likely not on the table at the moment. And so we've worked really hard with community and with OHE and MDH to put together this bill that starts at a smaller scale in hopes that we'll eventually be able to come back and ask to roll it out to a larger statewide program.
Thank you. Senator Duckworth?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for that answer. I was paging through the bill, and I'm sure it's likely in here, and maybe I just haven't missed it, or I missed it. When a child or their family goes to utilize these funds for tuition regarding higher education, are they eligible to use these funds at any higher education institution of their choice, or which institutions are eligible?
Senator Putnam?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Senator Duckworth for that question. Any institution of learning of any kind that is currently allowed to get resources from a 529 account. So it's a 4-year, it's a 2-year, it's a vocational training program. That's already established in statute. The kinds of programs that are amenable for that funding would similarly apply in this case.
Senator Duckworth?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just a quick follow-up. Would that include universities and colleges outside the state of Minnesota?
Senator Putnam? Ms. Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Duckworth, yes, the 529 is established at the federal level, so it does include any eligible program in the U.S.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, I appreciate it. It's a cool idea. We could have all kinds of discussion regarding questions, but I'm not going to do that to us because we have other bills to get to and whatnot. All that to say, I think folks are generally supportive of trying to help students and families plan for and afford college or higher education. In general, I think they get really supportive of it when we're trying to help all students and all families equally. And I think it becomes a little bit easier when we make it financially advantageous for them to do so, even on their own. Not so much when it comes to accounts like these. Not opposed to accounts like these, but I'm also not opposed to tax credits or other incentives or tax reductions that make the dollars that families already earn go a lot further. I'm also not opposed to backfilling things like the state grant with dollars. I mean, 17 million bucks isn't a low number at all, and I know this bill isn't calling for that. But again, I would just remind all of us to, in the back of our minds, when we're trying to prioritize things, whether it's savings accounts created for kids as they're born, or the cost of tuition, or how the state is supporting families and students across the board when it comes to affording that college education, there's a lot of competing ways that we can do it, and it becomes incumbent upon us to ask ourselves, in what ways help the most people and help those tax dollars go the furthest? And also, what ways probably give those students and families more control over that money. Some of the questions I would ask have to do with, well, what happens if they don't go on to pursue higher education, or, you know, they've already got 100% of their tuition paid for? Well, then what happens, right? Questions I'm not asking you to answer right now, but just things to have in the back of our mind as we continue to, you know, look at concepts like these and give them some consideration. That's all I've got, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Chair Kupek, and thank you for those questions again, Senator Duckworth. I think that you make some really valid and excellent points. I would say when we view this program in the context of perhaps remedying or remediating some of the challenges facing the state grant, one of the great things about this program is it creates students with that desire to eventually go to school and use the state grant someday. One of the things that exactly, that's what I'm saying. So I think one of the things that we need to think about is not only how do we make it more affordable for students to go to college, how do we make it more part of their imagination as something that they want to do? How do we inspire ambition? Not just how do we pay people's bills, but how do we get people to want to succeed in a certain way so that they can pay their own bills? And that's one thing that this program does, the state grant. It gets them when they're 18, whereas this program gets them when they're really young. And it puts that idea, that spark, and that possibility in their minds, which I think is just as important as some of the other programs that we have that might, again, help pay for people's education eventually. And I will say also, to your questions about the sort of geographic scope of this, I would absolutely entertain an amendment to exclude Wisconsin, if that's what you'd like to do.
Planting the
And exile St. Cloud. Thank you so much, Senator Putnam. Any final questions? Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for bringing forward the bill, Senator Putnam. I just want to say I live in St. Paul, where we did have the college savings account. It's been a really great program. I used to work at the city of St. Paul and was there under Carter's administration as this came up. They did a lot of work to make sure that families knew about the program, that it was easy to enroll. Went through that process myself this summer, and it's just really great to see how it has grown and how many families have been supported. And I think there's a lot we can learn from how that city has approached it to continue to expand this pilot and hopefully grow statewide. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator Oumou Verbeten. And so, if there's no other questions, any final comments, Senator Putnam?
No, I'm fine, Chair Kupek. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Senator Putnam moves that SF 3120 as amended be passed and re-referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The bill is passed and re-referred to Health and Human Services. And next up, Senator Putnam, you also have a second bill. Thank you so much. SF 2330. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, interesting enough, we sort of have a theme here, Mr. Chair, in that we were just talking about how to inspire people to be interested in going to college, and then we, for a moment, were discussing the state grant, how to get people to be able to pay for it. But this is a bill that deals with retention. And making sure that once people go to some sort of post-secondary education, that they are able to finish it, that they get enough support to be able to finish it. And so, Mr. Chair, if we may, I'd like to move the A2 amendment.
Senator Putnam moves the A2 amendment. Would you like to speak a little bit before we pass it off? Senator Putnam?
Mr. Chair, the A2 amendment, it does look a little bit longer than it is. It's really just a basic bunch of clarifications about some of the major issues around the bill. Talks about, establishes a need for a report, those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. So it's nothing too substantial, even though it looks kind of long.
All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? The amendment is adopted. Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate File 2330 enables a competitive grant program focused on improving student persistence and completion of degrees. On this committee, we worked hard to increase access to higher education and the social mobility that comes with it. But the other half of the challenge is making sure that those who attend post-secondary education are able to complete their degrees. This bill creates a competitive grant structure that funds organizations and institutions that provide intensive coaching and advising, mentorship and relationship-based support, navigation of financial aid, course planning, and their campus systems. And programs like these, they will target funding that allows for flexibility across regions and student populations and will encourage innovation and accountability rather than a one-size-fits-all kind of program. Members, there are, I'm sure you are all aware of programs like this that do provide that kind of mentorship to enable people to stay in college. That's what we're talking about. And we want to do so in the context of a competitive grant to make sure that people who are doing this work have the resources to do it and some accountability as well. That is Senate File 2330. Mr. Chair and members, thank you for your time and attention talking about this.
Thank you so much, Senator Putnam. Our first testifier is on Zoom, Mr. B.G. Tucker.
Hi,
Welcome.
everyone. Thank you, Chairs.
Sorry.
No, that's totally fine, Senator Fateh. Thank you all so much for taking the time. It's an incredible privilege to be presenting today on College Possible. My name is B.G. Tucker. I serve as the Executive Director of College Possible Minnesota. And just listening to the themes of the legislation being put forward today, it's incredibly moving to see such an investment in our state's education systems. So I really appreciate that. I'm going to share my screen to provide you all a quick overview about College Possible and specifically looking at how we might impact the work being proposed in SF 2330. All right, 1 second. I can't see you all anymore. Chair Fateh, would you mind just acknowledging that you can see my screen?
Yes, and folks also have the presentation in their packets as well.
Wonderful. Thank you all. So College Possible, we are a 25-year nonprofit. Many of you know us. I know two of our wonderful program alumni are sitting in front of you, but our goal is to facilitate a space where a student's future is no longer determined solely by their talent, motivation, and effort. So not by where they're from or their family's income. And specifically, we're deeply committed to supporting that academic journey for low-income students across the country and specifically here in Minnesota. We are an organization that has served almost 100,000 students since the year 2000. But we were founded here in St. Paul, Minnesota. We are the flagship site. We are the trendsetters. And we are the largest site of all the College Possible sites. As we look at our impact across the state, in a given program year, which mirrors the academic year, we're looking at serving 1,300 plus high school students, 3,700 plus college students. And in terms of our reach going back to 2000, right, we've graduated and served over 8,000 of our program alumni. And that equates to 6,000 degrees earned here in Minnesota. That's incredibly powerful. You can see our reach really does cover the whole state if you look at this graphic. What we're looking at is really thinking about the challenge that it still exists within higher education, right? And thinking about the impact that a college degree can have on those as they navigate getting to a spot where they are living in a way of having a family sustaining wage, right? You can see here some data points that I'd love to call out. Students with a college degree are 3.5 times less likely to live in poverty. Specifically, if we look at Minnesota, right, those with a post-secondary degree increase the GDP by almost $150,000. These are powerful statistics that come to fruition once that degree is earned. We heard Senator Putnam reference that the demand of jobs in the state of Minnesota require this credentialing, right? It's a huge percentage, 74%. And so we know that our residents in Minnesota need a college degree to move to that place where they are living with a family sustaining wage. That being said, we have some big gaps in our state, right? Specifically when we look at the college enrollment rate for Pell eligible students, right? So you can see some numbers in front of you here. They trail the state average by almost 20 percentage points. At College Possible, we pride ourselves in the fact that our students who are Minnesotans, who are low-income Minnesotans, are enrolling in college at a rate of 85%. So that counseling that we're providing that Senator Putnam referenced is incredibly powerful in making sure that students actually show up on campus and begin their journey through higher education. When we also look at a major resource gap across our state is that our student counselor ratio is anywhere between 544 to 1. Sometimes I've seen it stated as high as 570 to 1. The reality is that we sit at the bottom 3 states in the country year after year for student counselor ratio. American School Counselor Association recommends a ratio of 250 to 1. At College Possible, our high school ratio is 28 to 1. Our college student ratio is around 200 to 1. So we are prioritizing that personalized relationship, having a coach who is with you through every single step in your journey to make sure that you get the return on investment in your education and that you as a College Possible student are receiving a college degree. How we do this is we prioritize young people, right? We train and support young folks to step into coaching roles, and we provide a 6+ year commitment to our students. Our students join our program in their junior year of high school. We serve in almost 20 high schools in the metro and roughly 40 high schools across the greater state of Minnesota. And our students are low-income students. Program eligibility is 275% of federal poverty guidance. And additionally, we are looking to support any child who has a dream to go to college. The minimum GPA to get into our program is a 2.5. We pride ourselves in serving the academic middle. We are not looking to only support those high academic achievers who might be looking at full rides to institutions. We're looking at those students who see themselves in college and maybe haven't had that coach helping them all the way through their high school education to be able to get there. We also provide a committed support to our students in that we know when their path through higher ed is perhaps not linear. Maybe they stop out because they have parenting responsibilities, they are income providers for their family, and they're managing school and a job. They still receive coaching from us. So we support students no matter if they're enrolled in college or not. Once they graduate high school, they are a College Possible student for as long as it takes them to get a degree. And the last thing I want to call it is that we are always free to students. We are free to our college students, we are free to our high school students. We will not charge them for the support, which we feel is critical to them gaining that return on investment. Specifically, you all may know about College Possible because of our robust high school program, but in the context of this legislation, I want to call it our college program. Specifically, our college coaches who are our advising specialists. They are that student's champion through any phase of their higher ed journey. They are place-based coaches, so they carry a caseload where they are specializing in the academic experience that student is participating in. For example, on a given year, we have over 600 students at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. We have almost 2.5 advising specialists who are carrying those students on their caseload. They are the experts in knowing what it means to be a first-year student at the U versus what it might mean to be maybe in your 5th year at the U because you had to stop out and maybe you're coming back in. Their goal is to be quite literally the world's greatest referrers in helping students understand the resources that their tuition dollars are paying for, helping them access mental health supports, helping them access credit recovery should they need it, making sure that they're making satisfactory academic progress and maintaining their financial aid, making sure that they remember to apply for financial aid every year, and then connecting them with those resources that exist on their campus. I know that I'm running short on time. You all have these facts and figures in front of you, but just knowing that College Possible is incredibly proud of our results and how we serve students across the state, and that our alums are coming and giving back to the state of Minnesota. And I will yield the rest of the time because I would like you to hear from our students and recognize that this is something we really prioritize in making sure that our students are actually getting that return on investment and receiving their college degrees.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Next up, we have Lao Lee. Welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record, and we will begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Lao Lee. I was a College Possible student at Camden High School, and today I am proud to serve as a College Possible staff member supporting the same program at Camden High School that helped me get into and graduate from St. Thomas. I'm here today to speak in support of College Possible and SF 2330. Financial investment have improved access and have made college more affordable, but many students still face challenges navigating the system, like figuring out major requirements, meeting critical deadlines, renewing and understanding their financial aid, and locating and receiving campus resources. College is often the first step into adulthood for many students, and a coaching and structured support gives them the chance to learn independence while still having the guidance they need to stay on track. From my experience as a College Possible student and now working directly with students, I've seen how much of a difference consistent coaching and guidance can make. When students have this support, they are more likely to stay on track, persist in their studies, and graduate. I know firsthand that without the constant guidance I received from College Possible during my time in college, I would not have finished my degree. That's why I believe strengthening student support alongside financial aid is so important. It helps ensure that the promise of college affordability truly leads to like degree completion for Minnesota students. This session, I hope you will support SF 2330, which will strengthen student persistence by providing targeted coaching, mentorship, and navigation support to help college students who need the additional support to stay on track and complete their degree. Thank you for your continued work supporting Minnesota students and for taking the time to hear from constituent like B.
Thank you so much for your testimony. And lastly, we have Brandon No. Welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record, and you may begin.
Brandon Go. Thank you, Senator Fateh and members of the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to share my experience with College Possible Minnesota and to ask for your support for SF 2330. I'm here today to tell you my story because I almost didn't make it to college, not because I lacked ability, but because I didn't know how to navigate the system. I joined College Possible during my junior year at Champlain Park High School. I knew I wanted to go to college, but I didn't know what FAFSA was, I didn't know what the ACT was, and I didn't know where to start. Then I was matched with my coach, Mifa. She walked me through everything. Because of that support, I was accepted into the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, but getting into college wasn't the hardest part. Staying on track was. At the U of M, my College Possible coach supported me when I felt overwhelmed and kept me accountable. That support made the difference, and it's why I graduated with a degree in IT infrastructure. Today, I work at CHS Inc. as a cloud engineer, and my story isn't just about access, it's about persistence. My experience showed me that financial aid alone isn't enough. Students also need help understanding degree requirements, staying on top of deadlines, managing financial aid, and using campus resources to succeed. College Possible Minnesota helps students navigate the system successfully. It gives students the guidance and support they need, not just to start college, but to finish. I'm here today because someone invested in that kind of support for me, and I hope my story shows how much this kind of support can matter. I urge you to support SF 2330. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and your testimony. Are there any questions from members? Senator Duckworth.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a brief one for Mr. Lee. Did they tell you who you would be sitting next to?
No.
When you would come to testify on this bill?
Do it, Tommy, Johnny.
Mr. Lee.
I think, if I may interrupt for a moment, that Senator Duckworth is concerned about the smell of Johnny that I might have, and that might be concerning for a St. Thomas graduate.
I mean, I feel like he was tricked. Either that or this bill's real special because it's bringing folks together. That's all I've got, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Farnsworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I just want the record to reflect that I was not the one to take the shot at St. John's this year.
Thank you, Senator Farnsworth. Any other members? Any other shots at St. John's? Seeing none, Senator Putnam for the last word.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Just one very quick point I think to make is we've seen the tremendous impact that programs like this can have on the two fine gentlemen sitting next to me. We also have at least intimated the consequences for some of our institutions because, we talk about enrollment, but a sophomore or a junior's tuition helps an institution just as much as a first year's does. And then lastly, because Senator Duckworth brought it up, I've had a number of students at St. John's who've gone on to work at College Possible in programs like this, doing mentoring for younger people. And to me, it's actually a truly beautiful thing to see someone that you've helped help somebody else. So this is good work, and I thank you for the conversation.
Thank you so much, Senator Putnam. And with that, Senator Clark moves that SF 2330 as amended be passed and re-referred to the Committee on Finance. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The bill is passed on to the Committee on Finance as adopted. Thank you. As amended. Next up, we have my bill, the state grant program supplemental funding provision that I think I'll just be presenting from up here. I will be keeping it brief. I had an opening statement, but in the interest of time, we're a little bit over time. I'll be very quick. We've had a shortfall the past couple of cycles, and last year we worked to adjust the program parameters in a way that would be the least hurtful for students. This year, we got word again that there is an additional shortfall. My goal is that I don't want to see any more pain on the behalf of the students. I would like to see us fill in the gap. I've been having those conversations with leadership and our caucus members, and so I'm hoping that the testifiers can talk a little bit about that. And if anything is missing, then I can, or members can also fill in. But our first testifier is Nikki Oliver from OHI. So welcome, Ms. Oliver. Please introduce yourself for the record, and you may begin.
Hi, my name is Nikki Oliver. I'm the Director of Government Relations and Community Engagement for the Office of Higher Education. And I believe you all want us to talk about the deficit, correct? Or, okay, that's Nicole. She has that information, so I'll let Nicole.
Thank you so much. Sorry about
speak
that.
to the deficit. It's okay. I know you guys love me. She has the information.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record, and you may begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Nicole Whalen, and I am the State Grant Research Manager with the Minnesota Office of Higher Education. So just to clarify, would you like just a little bit of background on why there is a projected deficit?
And how we got here, correct. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so just to start us off, the state grant program this year is projected to spend $292.5 million, which exceeds the annual appropriation by about not quite $50 million, $45 million. What our office has chosen to do is transfer funds from fiscal year 27 into fiscal year 26 to fill that gap, which leaves us short in fiscal year 27. If the state grant program were not rationed in fiscal year 27, we do project a spending of around $333 million for a biennial deficit of around $131 million. So what our agency has done is we have rationed the program according to the parameters that are set in law for us. In doing that, we bring down grants for all students. We also put a lot of stress on the North Star Promise program, increasing the anticipated expenditures in that program. So in that program, we have instituted a priority deadline of June 1st. So some of the reasons why our state grant program is spending so much money, really I want to look back to some changes in enrollment that we've had over the past several years. So if you look at, and we do have some figures that we can pass along as well after this, but I'll just reference my slides and speak to them. If you look at enrollment in the state over the past, let's say, 15 years, we've had a significant period of declining enrollment. All that changed, however, in 2025, where we went from a 1 percentage point year-over-year decline in enrollment in fiscal year 24 to almost 5% spike in enrollment in fiscal year 25. So that in and of itself is a very large change that typically you see results in increases to state grant program spending. Coupled with that, though, we have a couple other things happening at the state. So one of them is that we have the highest FAFSA filing rate among Minnesota undergraduates in over a decade. We had 66% of Minnesota undergraduates apply for a state grant last year, whereas typically that number hovers between 55 and 60%.
So that's a jump. And what we're seeing is that of the students that are filing, they are typically have an assigned family need that is greater than we've seen in the last couple of years. With the changes to the FAFSA in 2025, what that ended up doing in practicality is we did see a large jump in the number of students who have a negative or $0 family contribution. However, what we also saw was that the entire distribution of need shifted for the program. So for students in our primary income range for state grant eligibility, that entire distribution has shifted to the left. So what that means from a practical perspective is that almost all state grant eligible students saw some sort of decrease in their family contribution, and that in turn increases their state grant. So this represents a baseline shift in need. It's not like, higher education is typically considered countercyclical. So if we do have slumps in the economy, higher education enrollments tend to go up. This baseline shift in need, to me, indicates that this is not just a slight dip in the economy, that we most likely will have continue to see projected deficits in the program in future years. And so the state grant program really does need a realigning, I would say, of how we assess family need and how we fund the program.
Ms. Oliver?
Hi, Mr. Chair. I didn't know if you wanted us to also mention the governor's recs, even though we're going to talk about them on Thursday because we're talking state grant. Essentially, the governor's recommendations are policy changes in absence of new money to mitigate the level of rationing that we would do. In the absence of money, regardless, students will see some sort of reduction in their aid award. It's just about how much and who, based on the different policy levers. So I just wanted to mention that. And then also to note, I know Nicole mentioned earlier about this academic year, this fiscal year. And one of the things we did get a chance to do is discuss with the different systems what their preference would be instead of us doing a mid-year change just ourselves rationing. Ask them what they would prefer. The option was we could, like we did, pull money from fiscal year 27 to cover 26 and push out the deficit into 27. And that's exactly what we did per recommendation from all the system sectors to not interrupt the students' financial aid in mid-year.
Thank you so much, Ms. Oliver, for giving us that walkthrough. And Ms. Oliver is correct. We will be having the presentation of the governor's recommendations and what levers are being utilized on Thursday. So thank you so much. Are there any questions for our first testifier before we go on? Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. When you say we ration dollars, what does that mean?
Ms. Whalen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Senator Duckworth. So for the state grant program, there is language in state statute that addresses if there is insufficient funds in the program to meet program demand. There are two levers in the state grant program that we may adjust in order to essentially we are lowering awards to students in order to maintain spending within appropriations. The two levers that we're adjusting are the assigned student responsibility, which governs how much, what percent of the student's state grant budget the student is responsible for as opposed to the state or family, as well as the assigned family responsibility, which governs how much of the student's remaining need it should be paid for by the family as opposed to the taxpayers. So what we've done is we've adjusted both of those items as per state statute, essentially increased them both, which then decreases the state taxpayer share of their education and lowers grant awards. So those two items must be done in roughly equivalent amounts, so that the different students are kind of impacted equivalently.
Thank you so much. And Senator, just to be, I wasn't clear before. This hearing is about what our proposal is, the chair's proposal, and that's to fill in the shortfall of $131 million. I think the questions you're asking is more about what the governor's proposals are. We're going to have plenty of time on Thursday to hear that when they give that walkthrough, if that's okay. I'm trying to save a little bit of time for folks that might have to go to a 5:30 committee hearing also.
That's fine. Yeah, I'll wrap up. If I can just ask
Of
one
course.
more question.
Yeah, yeah.
So based on that, when you ration or reduce awards to students, are we reducing those awards the same across the board, or are some students seeing larger reductions than others?
Ms. Whalen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The reductions do vary, the dollar reductions do vary by student. In both cases, they are percentage-based modifiers. So in that sense, they are adjusted, relative to the baseline. How can I phrase this? What I can definitely send you a breakdown of how those award reductions would differ by different student characteristics. But yeah, it is unfortunately kind of complicated.
I appreciate that. I'll stop there, Mr. Chair. All is to say is if we're going to have a conversation about this again later, I'm going to want to know more about that, just for folks if they come back to present. How are these reductions impacting various students across the board? When we say things like it puts stress on the North Star Promise, I want to know, what does that actually mean? Because I'm pretty sure that one continues to get funded at 100%. Maybe I'm wrong. And then when we're looking at taking these funds and shifting them around, I'm really curious to know more about that, not just for me personally, but I've got constituents that either have kids in college or kids that are getting notices from their institutions about reduced awards. They have a lot of questions about that, and if we're going to keep robbing the future to pay for today, we're only setting ourselves up for failure. So I'll be respectful of time, but it's a conversation we have to dig into, and just by continuing to award less and less and less to some students versus others, we just keep digging the hole even deeper. That's all I've got, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Senator Duckworth, and I appreciate your flexibility on that. And thank you so much for your testimony. Next up, we have we have Ilham Mahmood, who's Mr. Paul Serpinik. Welcome. Senator Arki.
Mr. Chair, just a quick question. I do have concerns, too, that I would be interested in this follow-up information. It was promised to Senator Duckworth, but this number we're looking at, that's the governor's request or the governor's proposal? It's a separate one? Okay.
So the governor wants to ration it.
So this is the amount that would prevent any rationing from occurring.
Okay, I just want to know where it was coming from, but that the follow-up information as far as the rationing and all this between 27 and 26, I look forward to the follow-up on what you said Thursday?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Arki. Welcome, Mr. Serpinik. Please introduce yourself for the record, and you may begin.
Chair Fateh and members of the committee, my name is Paul Serpinik, and I serve as the president of the Minnesota Private College Council. On behalf of students at nonprofit colleges, I want to express our strong support for Senate File 4638. My testimony is going to be followed by two students from two of our colleges, and I just want to point out to committee members that you have a letter from all of our student government leaders in your packet and a couple other letters from individual students at MPCC institutions. Let me start by saying that to give students of limited financial means an opportunity to earn a post-secondary degree or credential, the state grant program operates on a basic concept. The program is designed to recognize the actual costs students face and the limits on their ability to pay those costs. When there's a gap between the real costs of education and the student's ability to afford those costs, the state grant, along with the Pell Grant, helps fill that gap so that post-secondary education is possible for all. In this way, the state grant is a commitment, a promise to help students for whom financial barriers would otherwise make college beyond their reach. It is good news that in recent years, more students, including more lower-income students, want to pursue post-secondary education. The increasing number of lower-income students is driving this year's funding shortfall. Rationing grants, by whatever formula or program changes, means students' real costs and their limited ability to pay for college will not be fully and truly recognized, leaving students with financial age gaps so large the college will be unaffordable and therefore not possible for them. The potential financial aid cuts students are facing this year will come on top of the significant reductions in state grants made last year, when 80% of last year's shortfall was resolved through reductions in state grant awards, making it even more critical that additional funding be provided to the state grant program this year. Students can simply not afford more cuts to their grants on top of last year's reductions. For these reasons, I want to thank you, Senator Fateh, for the approach taken in this bill. And I want to ask committee members to do the most they can to ensure that an investment of additional funding is the path to solve this year's state grant shortfall. The state grant program needs additional funding. Students are counting on it to achieve their educational aspirations, and their success will ensure Minnesota has the talented workforce and community leaders necessary for our future economic and civic prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President Sirkmanek. Our next testifier is Ms. Ilham Mahmood. Welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record and you may begin.
Thank you, Chair Fateh and all the members for I know we're running short on time. Thank you for letting us testify on behalf of Senate File 4638. My name is Ilham Mahmood and I'm from St. Cloud, Minnesota. I'm a senior at St. Thomas studying business law and compliance. As a first-generation student, college and pursuing a college education has always been incredibly important to me. I understood early on that the cost would be one of the biggest barriers for me, which is why I did PSEO at St. Cloud State University during high school. So not only did I graduate with a high school diploma, I also graduated with an associate's degree. I'm very grateful for that opportunity because it gave me a strong academic foundation and it helped me reduce the overall cost of my education. At the same time, I always knew that I wanted more from my college experience. I wanted to access the opportunities available in the Twin Cities, specifically the internships and the connections that were available here. This past year, I had the opportunity to be an intern for Senator Amy Klobuchar, which is an opportunity that I had because of my proximity to the cities here. It was an incredibly impactful experience, and it reaffirmed my desire to be in a place where those kinds of opportunities are accessible. I was also looking for a school that offered smaller class sizes and a strong sense of community. It also had academic programs that aligned with my goals. The business law and compliance program specifically stood out to me because it wasn't offered anywhere else. From the moment I toured St. Thomas, I knew it was the right fit for me, but I also knew that attending a private university might not be financially feasible without support. The Minnesota State Grant made that possible for me. Because of this program, I was able to choose a school that aligned with my goals, and I truly believe that I was meant to be a St. Thomas student, and I found my place there. During my time here, I've taken full advantage of the opportunities that were available to me. I currently serve as a student body president here at St. Thomas. I've also played club lacrosse. I served as the vice president of the Business Law and Compliance Club, and many other leadership opportunities that would take a while if I kept going through them. These experiences shaped my growth here as a leader, and it prepared me for my future in law and future in ways that wouldn't be possible without access to this situation. From my perspective as a student leader, the Minnesota State Grant is more than financial aid, it's an opportunity creator. It allows students like me, especially first-generation students, to pursue the education that best fits their ambition and the ability to pursue their passions, and to step into leadership roles and prepare them for the future. The State Grant has made a lasting impact on my life, and continued support for this program means ensuring that more students can find their place like I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Our last testifier is, and I apologize if I butcher the name, Bao Young. Yes. Welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record and you may begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senators. My name is Bao Young. I am from Marshall, Minnesota, and I currently attend St. Catherine University. I'm currently studying public health, public policy, and today I am here to share my story as a Minnesota State Grant recipient attending a private institution in the Twin Cities. Recently, I attended Day at the Capitol, organized by the Minnesota Private College Council, where I had the opportunity to speak with local legislators from my area, including Senator Gary Doms, Senator Jeff Howe, and Senator Bobby Joe Champion. Thank you again to all the legislators who took the time to speak with the students from St. Catherine University. The value of higher education in the 21st century is defined differently depending on who you ask, and I am here today to talk about how higher education is shaping my future and the people who are a part of that future. That is why I made the important choice to attend an institution that represents my values as a woman, a person of color, an immigrant, and a first-generation student. For me, St. Catherine University embodies these values. However, I want to also talk about the financial realities of pursuing higher education. I attend a private university, and when people hear that, they often assume that my family is wealthy. There's a common perception that private universities are for the rich, while public universities are for everyone else. And today, I'm here to remind everyone that this is not always the case. Not every student at a private university comes from money. The biggest barrier to higher education has always been finances, especially for families sending their first child off to college. I am the eldest of 6 children, and my family does not have the financial means to easily support my journey to college. In fact, my mom didn't even know that I applied to St. Catherine University or that I got accepted until the day that we showed up for orientation. So thanks to the generosity of St. Catherine donors, I received a 4-year merit scholarship to attend this institution. But even with that support, there were still costs my family could not cover, and I had to take out private loans, something that many people advise against, but that is my situation and many of my peers are also in the same situation because we are the first of our families to go to college, and our families do not have the money to send us off. And like many of my peers, I will soon graduate with not only a degree, but with debt. So why choose St. Catherine University? Everyone has their own reasons for choosing where to attend college, and for me, it was about finding the right environment. I want to attend an institution built for women. I want a smaller campus where I could be known for my name and face. I don't want to be just a number. I wanted a place where I could feel safe and supported in my personal development, and most importantly, I wanted my parents to know they left their daughter in good care and to be a role model for my younger siblings. That is why it is more important than ever that the Minnesota State Grant deficit is addressed. This is about protecting the choices of Minnesota students, especially those from underprivileged backgrounds. If there is one message that I hope you all take away from my testimony, it is this. Public funding should serve the public as intended. The Minnesota State Grant supports students from all backgrounds, including low-income students like me who are working to build a future in this state and this nation. So I implore you to support and fund the choices of these students who choose to attend private universities, because private does not mean money. It means having a choice in choosing where we build the foundations of our future careers and our legacy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimonies. And are there any questions for the president or students? Senator Duckworth.
I promise to be brief. Have to give a shout out to a fellow Tommy because I did it so earlier. Thank you for being here. Good to see you. And also to you, I very much appreciate your candor. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Duckworth. Any final comments from any of you, Mr. President?
Senator Fateh, I would just like to thank the Tommies for not taking a shot at another Johnny.
And with that, SF 4638 will be laid over, and it will be the vehicle for our omnibus finance bill that will be up on Thursday. So with that, the bill is now laid over.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, we have SF 4757, Senator Cal Bahr.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Mr. Chair.
Please begin.
So SF 4757, in the interest of time, is all of 4 sentences long, and it basically precludes the governor from deciding which regents he wants to appoint to the board. This would restrict him to only candidates that the legislature has put on the list if we fail to call the joint convention for regents of the University of Minnesota. So I stand for questions.
Absolutely, and this is a bill that my name is supposed to be on this. I apologize, I have not signed it on time. I will be doing so, but we had a situation last year in which we had many candidates go through the process that went through RCAC process, went through the joint committees, and was prepped for the floor. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that, which led to the governor appointing members that were also appointees that have also not gone through either the RCAC process or the legislative process, and so we're hoping that this solves that problem. And so I appreciate you, Senator Bahr, for bringing this up. Are there any questions from members? Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Bahr. I share your frustrations with what happened last year, and I think being in a situation where we had this divided government at the joint legislative committee, there was kind of like 2 different slates of candidates that were recommended. So double the amount, plenty of people to pick from. And still there were candidates that were chosen outside of that pool. I think that's really our duty to be able to do that. I was disappointed that we didn't see that in the agreement to hold that joint convention and to complete our duty. So you've got my support as well.
Thank you, Senator Verbeten. Any other comments or questions from members?
Good bill.
Thank you, Senator Duckworth.
I like it.
Thank you, Senator Utke.
I will follow Senator Howe's comments on my last bill. It's a good bill, vote green.
Thank you, Senator Kupek. Any comments from St. Cloud? Thank you so much, Senator Bahr. And Senator Putnam moves that SF 4757 be recommended to pass onto the floor. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? You're going to the floor, Senator Bahr. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And with that, we are adjourned.